Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning. It's Thursday. This is your host, Llorraine Neithardt, and this is Venus Unplugged, your virtual heartbreak hotel. And this is all about things Venusian, the way of Aphrodite, or Psyche says. So what we're attempting to do here is, how does the true feminine process? How does it look? How does it feel? And that's why I'm working for the last couple of months with fairy tales. You see, fairy tales are the stories that survived the epic period of the Great Mother, the matriarch. When patriarch came in, religions began. So this is much older. The languages of the Great Mother are fairy tales and the art of astrology and tarot and the I Ching. So these symbols, it's the only thing that really truly survived. Now, if we look at archaeology, there have been thousands of statues of the Great Mother discovered, found, and interestingly enough, stuck behind walls and glass and all that kind of stuff. Now, there has never, ever been an image or a statue of the Great Father. Now, as this transition was happening from matriarch to patriarch, it didn't happen overnight. It had to take, a couple of thousand years, which is just a sneeze in the cosmos. But this memory of fairy tales, so these teachings are, so when we read a modern-day fairy tale, and it tells us, and she wept and she was wearing Issey Miyake outfits, and goes into this great detail of feeling and description, not a true fairy tale. Listen to the episodes on the fairy tale code to start getting a hint of what is an authentic fairy tale, a teaching from the Great Mother, or it survived the Great Mother. We are in an epic change of the integration of those two. So the left side and the right side just clap hands. So the fairy tale that we're working with is Ash Girl, which is the Grimm's version of Cinderella, and Cinderella has hundreds, if not thousands, of interpretations, but it has the same structure. So the usual structure is the girl's mother dies, her father remarries to some wacko woman with, in this case, 2 wacko daughters, and the stepmother treats the girl improperly, and she confines her to the hearth. We went over that last week, the meaning of the hearth, and giving her impossible tasks. So I want to just go over a couple of things here. Now, the Great Mother cross. The cross of the Great Mother, so imagine 2 lines, one vertically and one horizontally. One end of the cross is the Good Mother. She's the life-giving one, she's the nourishing one, all that kind of good stuff. The opposite of that, now one is not better than the other, it is just opposite. And that's a very, very important thing to recognize, particularly in relationship with the true feminine. We can tolerate paradox if we choose one side or the other and then kind of get our rant on or our high drama on. We're distorted. We need to be able to see both. Where there's life, there's death. The opposite of the Good Mother is the Death Mother. Now, it is the Death Mother's job to destroy everything that the, Good Mother put into action. Otherwise, there'll be no rebirth. Now, let's say that's the vertical cross. Now, the horizontal cross, on one end is the ecstatic mother. She's the mother of poets and wild Tasmanian dancers and the part of us that longs for the joy, okay? And opposite of the ecstatic mother is the stone mother. In some images, that's the mother whose vagina has teeth. That's the one that men are terrified of. But it means the stone mother. The stone mother is Medusa. She's the one that just turns everything to stone. You know, when somebody looks at you with envy, everything turns to stone, or you're telling kind of a joyful story and somebody's looking at you with the Medusa eyes, and suddenly the story stops, or the joy stops. Kids are wild and crazy, and hopefully adults too are running around having a great time, and suddenly the stone mother walks in, and everybody stops. But they belong to one another. So this is important to see what pole of the Great Mother's Cross are we on. We usually choose one over the other, but we have to give room. You know, we've got to change. We've got to change our cross. All right, and it's interesting because the cross also represents the number 4 arms of the cross, which then turns into the box. Goes on and on forever. So that's part of what we need to keep in mind when we're listening to these stories. And we need to remember we need the shadow for grounding. So when Ash Girl is giving these tasks, she's actually grounding her reality and discovering. So yeah, it blows that she has to do all these tedious tasks, but she's developing a skill. So don't moan and bemoan tedious tasks. Do them with all your heart. You'll be surprised what comes out of it. It may be 20 years later. It's like, wow, I learned that years ago, and here it is, so I'm not going to fall for it now. And virginal is not a sexual position. Virginal actually is on the one end of the ecstatic side of the Great Mother's Cross, because the ecstatic mother or virginal mother, she doesn't give birth to children. She gives birth to joy. That's what she's here for. So each one of these aspects are part of us. And when we can accept that and work with that, it is amazing how your life is going to change. Because everybody's getting equal representation, or representation at different periods in our life. So we can start to understand this. So now with Ash Girl, we are working with, right now we're going to deal with the name of this episode is, what is the name of this episode? I had it all written down here. I get so into this, I lose time and space. So the Ugly Sisters and the Stepmother motif. All right. Hence, fair of face but foul of heart. Now, we may have all had moments of that. We're looking fine, but we're being nasty. Or people who are so perfect, everything is just put together, and they're just too perfect for words. But man, woohoo, don't want to be their heart. So in some tales, the sisters are fair of face and foul of heart. Sometimes they're just ugly. There's always different versions of this. But in this, they're fair of face. In the Ash Girl, they're fair of face and foul of heart. And what does that mean? Okay, so what that depicts is the dark and evil powers latent in unkindness. That's why we don't like unkindness. Not because it's good. It's because when people are unkind, it's got a touch of evil in it. And we don't go ooh, we don't like that person. Well, that was meanie. You're a meanie, we would all say when we would declare the shadow aspect. Listen to kids. They know what they're seeing, and they call it out. because they know if they name it, it can be seen, hopefully. Not always understood, but seen. So there's the evil stepmother or the ugly sisters or whatever is kind of opposite of the hero or heroine's personality. So they're unkind, and they manifest cruelty and greed and envy and vanity and just some dumbass, plain out-and-out stupidity. Okay, and the stepmother is the dark and destructive aspect of the feminine principle. So she's not the good mother, she's the death mother. So in this case, Ash Girl is going to die from being, the only daughter. So she loses her position. And then she becomes the only and youngest daughter. Okay. And then the sisters kind of come in. So there's this dark mother principle, which is typified by the witch or the bad fairy. And stepmothers, such as the ones in Cinderella and Snow White, they were always kind of trippy. They actually can, once again, be quite beautiful, but nasty, nasty, nasty. And they symbolize kind of the loss of paradise. So when, girls shed Papa and Mama, so she had this paradoxical kind of childhood. And then Mama up and dies. And so then she has to leave paradise and the harsh realities of the world and the phenomena which one confronts on the dark side of the Great Mother. Now, we all have to do this. And one of the staggering blunders of humanity is the refusal to grow up. So the refusal to grow up isn't just about taking responsibilities and being capable of being in the world and whatever task you do in the community, whatever role you play, and we all are playing a significant role. We don't want to grow up and in. We're actually growing, in some ways, down. We grow down. Our roots get deeper. Our roots get stronger. So as the tree, we don't fall over. Okay? And there's nothing wrong with staying joyful or youthful, but not at the refusal of doing the tedious tasks. And Saturn, who loves tedious tasks, constantly. I mean, I wouldn't have the patience Saturn has to teach somebody again and again. Or our beloved, blessed Capricorn parents. Man, they love to teach you again and again. I mean, I was blessed with didn't feel like such a blessing in the beginning, but, I only see now. It's like, my mother was a Capricorn. She grounded my ass well. And she would know when I would be off. I'd be standing there, and whatever you do as a kid, and she'd say, get back here. And I'd say, I'm here. What do you mean? I'm here. She said, no, you're not. You're with the fairy. You're with the wee people. I know when you're with the wee people. W-E-E. And so I'd have to come back in my body and the drudgery and density of humanity. But, and one of her golden rules were, little did I know she was teaching me all that needed to be known about karma, which was, don't ever forget, there's always somebody before you and somebody after you. Which meant, in practical terms, don't drink the last bit of milk unless you're planning to go to the store to get another quart. But think about it. It works in every situation. It gives us an immense awareness of before and after, and that we are in the now, affecting both the past and the future. So, if you didn't feel like going to the store, just don't drink that last bit of milk and tag, play it, let the next person fall for the trick. That's why everybody just leaves that little bit of milk At least they did in my family. So the last, one who would get that last swig, you're it, man. It didn't matter. It took me a while to figure that out. I kept on falling for it. And it was like, why don't they buy 2 quarts of milk? But you didn't. We just had enough for, our daily bread, and that was it. So that's kind of, the Saturnian mother. Okay. Now, and in a way, with Cinderella or Ash Girl, even though the evil mother wants to prevent her from going into the joy, so she's kind of like the stone mother. She doesn't want her to become ecstatic and go to the ball or live life, but she's also teaching the way out. And that's the stuff that happens in life. It's like, oh, Jesus, this happened again. I fell for this again. Or, oh, no, this person is back in my life. Whatever it might be, shut up, drop the drama, look at, tell the story as if you would a fairy tale. No side, no emotional, no harsh description, no nothing. Just the path. And you will begin to see, aha, this is what's being told to me. These are the whispers of the great teachings of the great mother, which was stomped out. We have no records. We have memories. We have some pieces, but really no true records, except in the art of the fairy tale, in tarot, astrology, I Ching, a few of the esoterics, superstitions, all that. There's always truth. But we have to know what we're looking at and not just take it literally. That's what I'm trying to help. What does this stuff mean? All right. Now, so sometimes in Cinderella, the dead mother plays a vital role. She can appear to the daughter and gives her magic aids, or appears as a white dove, symbolic of the soul and feminine love. Okay? Kind of rhymes, right? Dove, symbolic of the soul and feminine love. Or it's the soul bird, being a universal belief. Sometimes the mother lives in a magic tree that grows from her grave, in this case. In Ash Girl, this is where the good mother reigns, but she's also the good dead mother, so she's got the whole polarity, okay, going on. In other versions, the mother can help through some animal or a bird or a helpful creature, sometimes a cow, which is the symbol of the Great Mother in her nourishing and side. It's her nourishing and protective aspects. Or in Hathor, the Egyptian goddess with the ears, the cow. She's sacred, and she's also, Hathor is also Aphrodite. So these different symbols come in, and so the mother can be good or evil, death mother, good mother, but she's always the mother, always. So in these versions of, but in rare instances, the mother can appear as a fairy. Not usually. Modern society likes the concept of fairies, but when I have a little something to share about fairies a little later. Okay. And other versions of more primitive customs, there's cannibalism. How's that? Where the mother loves or favors the youngest daughter, and the 2 older sisters kill and eat the mother, whose bones, which work magic for her, are collected by Cinderella. Should know about that one, did you? So there we have the arm of the ecstatic mother and the stone mother, or the tooth mother, the ones that devour everything. A lot of times when there's eating distortions, we were raised by a devouring stone mother or tooth mother, that everything we did was devoured by them. So that's not always pleasant. But if we know it, see, that's where knowledge and wisdom is power. We know it. We don't judge it. Knowledge, so that's when we explore. Gee, I wonder what that means. And we go about exploring. And don't always listen to, the computers are fantastic. Internet is absolutely sublime. But if you really want to know something, you got to get to the books, because the misinformation is just staggering. It's quick, but it's dumb and it's staggering. So if you really love something, you tend to it. And the way that you tend to it is you do your research, you discover, you have conversations, you ask for inner help. Always ask your heart. It's the wisest part of us. Ask for dreams. Notice your surroundings, the funny little things that happen in your world. When I was learning astrology 3 decades ago, I would just take one, planet, and I would read and eat and sleep nothing but that planet. And then I would look for it in my environment, in my clothing, in my everything. So it became a living part of me. So then my intuition knew what to do with these symbols and provoke, original interpretation. Because your interpretation, that's what counts. I've been blessed with a tremendous gift for interpreting dreams. Of course, I worked 25 years. I have my own inner dreams and have thousands of dreams in my computer. So that once again, I was given that task. I didn't know. So I worked for all these years, and there's at least 7,000 literally dreams on my computer. And so when our beloved Ann Ortley, talks about an aspect, I can go back at least for 30 years and to an aspect that she mentions, like 1985, and I usually have a dream on that date. And the astounding thing is there's a correspondence. It may not be exact, but there's a correspondence. And the more we do this and the deeper we do this, the richer the interpretation comes. And it is always astounding. It's total awesome balls. Absolutely, holy moly. And so when you just start doing this, just writing it down, don't waste time in things that are of no good, like gossiping or repeating shit that shouldn't be repeated. Write something down. Or if you need to do that, write it down and burn it. Just don't repeat it. Hold your energy. I definitely believe in reincarnation, but I live this life as if it's the only one. And not just about being good and pure. It's all aspects. Just like Cinderella here, okay? So what's Ash Girl up to? So we have these many different versions. So here, the stepmother, Cinderella, is the youngest of the 3 daughters, and her 2 older, in this case stepsisters, are in the league with the cruel mother, are all jealous of Cinderella's beauty and goodness. Now remember when I talked about, envy? Envy fascinates me, terrifies me and fascinates me. That's probably my morbid fascination, because it's so prevalent that if we can recognize it, half the battle is won. It's like, oh, no, I am not believing that. I know your pathology. So they're envious, and the pathology of envy gets provoked. Envy hates goodness. You really want to see that's why that term, no good turn goes unpunished. I hated that until I realized what it meant. It's like when you're doing something good, you're taking your life in your hands because you're also provoking somewhere, sometime, its opposite, which is envy. But sometimes it's worth the price of admission. That's what that means. Doesn't mean not to do goodness, but you're taking your chance. And on the other hand, if envy's in your life right now, stick to your guns, because envy comes to destroy the goodness in your life. So keep your mouth shut and stick to your guns. Don't argue. It's a waste of time. So because of Cinderella's not only her beauty, but her goodness of heart, it just provokes all sorts of envy, as it will do in all of our lives. Nobody's immune to it. And nobody's immune to feeling it. So if you're feeling envy, you have to say, why do I believe that I cannot have that goodness in my life? I don't have to believe this envious impulse. I have to see this is the thing that disconnects me from my inherent goodness. Okay? So here, the stepmother, she represents that kind of dark, evil, I don't like goodness stuff. Okay? She can also be the demon queen, who seduces Zeus, whereupon Hera, his wife, turns her into a creature that only could give birth to dead children. I mean, those Greeks, plus their cotton socks, they really knew how to cast a punishment. So the motif occurs not only in association with Cinderella's murderous mothers, but in other tales such as Hansel and Gretel. Well, Hansel and Gretel, that's an interesting one. That's the tale of the tooth mother, the one who just wants to devour the kids. So they definitely want to stick her in the oven. So these mean so much more than we could imagine. So that's why we've got this. So as the plot thickens, we start to understand why these harpies are in Cinderella's life. Why is she given these dreadful tasks? And the attitude. Now, sometimes in some Cinderella stories, Cinderella is even murdered, and then she's got to go through a transfiguration. So, powerful stuff. So, in all cases, our Ash Girl, our heroine, is either miraculously saved or revivified to live happily ever after. And we know what happily ever after means, right? It means integrated until the prince has a boil on his nose or something. So next week we will go over the magic tree and Cinderella's helpers, but I'm editing my book closet, talk about Cinderella's tale. And I've got literally like 3,000 books, and it's the hardest. I've done it. I've dropped it down from 5,000. And it is truly a task of stuffing lentils, because they are my beloved. But I've got to do that. It's time. And it's also, I like to do this stuff pre-birthday. My birthday is on the 22nd of June. I'm born on midsummer at midnight. Blah, blah, blah. But listen to this. Okay, so I come across this book, which is out of print. It's called The Psychic Garden, Plants and Their Esoteric Relationships with Man. So I looked to this, and it says the cross. When a Roman Catholic crosses himself, he uses the Jupiter and Saturn fingers first to point to his head, which is the ego, as in the Scorpio, as called in the East. Then the solar plexus, which is the bull. Then the heart is on the left, and then the lion is on the right, and on the lungs, and the water carrier of the air. So these are the four signs of the fixed cross, which are also combined with the four evangelists, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, the angel, and respectfully, the four figures can be seen and portrayed on copper bells. The pole of thought, the pole of life, the circulatory system, that's the blood and circulation and breathing, and are therefore pointed to. And at the same time, the four elements, water, earth, fire, and air. So may your week be filled with possibilities, and MBO, most benevolent outcome. So next week, we are going to work on the tree. Cinderella's tree, the hazel tree. So call me, 212-757-8914. Go to my website or Facebook. Ciao, ciao.
Allergies, pollen in the air, dogs in the house, mold in the basement. Whatever triggers your allergy symptoms, it can really hold you back. Break through with Allegra 5-in-1 Relief. Allegra works fast, won't make you drowsy, provides 24-hour multi-symptom relief, and it's effective every day. Break through allergies with Allegra. Starts working in 1 hour. Use only as directed. Guaranteed or your money back. Visit Allegra.com.